Today in the Boot Guide, we are looking at the Alpha Range Air CIRC or Circulator by LaCrosse boots. All right, rubber boots, neoprene boots, and all that stuff in the summertime is always a pain in the butt, mainly because when you combine rubber with neoprene, nothing gets in. No matter what they tell you, nothing gets out. So what a lot of companies are doing is they're trying to thin down the mixtures, which leads to a lot of problems with boots. Now, LaCrosse with the Alpha Range Circulator, well, I think they've answered all those problems because this boot has been engineered to handle hot weather and lots of abuse. Now, there's kind of a stigma when it comes to boots that are built like this. Kind of like this idea that when you start combining neoprene and you start adding rubber to it, eventually it's going to leak at the seams. And sure, when you have materials like this that are held together by glue and pressure and just by chemistry alone, eventually there has to be something that falls apart. No matter who makes it, no matter what you pay for it, eventually glue is going to fail, especially when that glue is being moved around a lot. So if you're buying a pair of boots, in order to get somewhere where you want to be, whether you're in the outdoors, whether you're doing yard work, or whether you're just working in these, remember, this is a tool that is protecting you. At some point, this tool, no matter who makes it, is going to fail. But let's talk about the Alpha. So right off the bat, I was impressed with the upper, but we're not get to the upper yet. We're going to start, as always, we're going to start with the sole. Now, the sole on the Alpha is beautiful. It is a very good mud shedding sole. Though, after you get really clumped up with stuff, you have to take a moment and start kicking some of that off if you're going to need traction. But if you're walking around in mud, if you're walking around on a muddy trail, or even in a wet, muddy area, the sole offers a nice grip. Now, when you move from a muddy surface to a flat, smooth surface, forget about it. Just like anything else, you're not going to get any traction. But if you clean them off, if you can hose them off or bathe them off, that yellow section right there is a slip-resistant material that will give you more traction on slippery places. Now, a boot like this is built for somebody who works around water at least 50% of the time. And I really mean that, 50% of your day. If your day is spent having to hose stuff off or just stand in water because you got to clean things, or it's just your job, your land management services, having a boot like this makes sense. Okay, so now the upper. The fit of the upper. This thing is built on layer and layer of rubber, hand laid in rubber, because that's really the only way you can build a hybrid boot like. There's really no technology yet that allows them to have something that's soft, flexible, and shaped like this and can allow you to get the great fit that LaCrosse is getting. There's not a machine yet to do that, so there are hands that build these boots. So even though the Alpha Range is a beautifully designed boot, aesthetically it looks awesome, there are a lot of great safety features. And that toe that comes on this boot, this triple layer toe, 3 layers of this nice, thick, durable rubber, which is proprietary to LaCrosse. It is a really durable, pliable, flexible rubber that can take a lot of abuse and doesn't scar easily. 3 layers on the toe and another 3 layers in the heel section. And these 2 spots of the boot, when it comes to fit and it comes to comfort, are really important. Look at that heel cup. That heel cup is nice and tight. Look at the way it just feeds right into that neoprene back. That's going to give you a lot of great secure fit. And look at the shape in the back. Look at the way it comes up along the Achilles. That too, the roundness of the heel, the shape around the Achilles, that's going to keep the boot on your foot. And when it comes to a pull-on boot, That's what you want. You want the thing to stay on your foot. All right, now to this gusseted section in the back, which is purely genius when it comes to neoprene rubber boots. Having this section that opens up, now you'll see a lot of companies, they're doing things that are like this. They're adding straps, they're adding gussets so you can make it nice and tight. But LaCrosse really is pushing the envelope for this gusset. They are giving you a whole nother 3 inches out. So when you fold it in half and you look at it, you get a full nother 6 inches. So getting this thing on and off is really easy. Even as time progresses and the neoprene starts to soften up and take on a memory, it's still gonna be a cinch to get this thing on. Mainly because of engineering and design, the shape, the way the upper is shaped, the way the gusset is shaped, the way the U channel is shaped back there, and by adding a textured rubber pull right at the top for your fingers to pull the boot on. Great touch. Now when it comes to getting the boot off, equally as easy. Big built-in kickoff. So catch it on the end of your bumper, catch it on a stair, any hard surface. Once you get the mud cleaned off it, because hey, you're wearing rubber boots, you're playing in the mud, you should be covered in mud. Once you get that mud off there, that thing's just gonna pop right off. Now about the circulation part. Well, the neoprene is a nice thin mill of neoprene, but they back that with this wonderful air circulating material. And now when you squeeze this material, you can tell it has a 3-dimensional property to it, which means that it's just not a flat mesh laid to it, that there's actually chambers that exist in between there. So what does that mean? As you're moving around, you're forcing air through all those little chambers. You're allowing this boot to naturally dry as you're moving around in it. Now, if you get this boot swamped, if say the water goes over the top and gets inside, you fold it down, you pull out the insole, which their insole is a very basic urethane insole. Nothing amazing, but a rubber boot with an insole, that didn't happen 5 years ago. So it is a step forward. You pull out the insole, you open this thing up, you let some air move past it, put a fan on it, put it on your boot dryer, and within an hour, this thing is gonna be bone dry. There's nothing inside to hold the water. Water just wants to shed off this boot in every single aspect of it. Now, personally, about size and fit on this boot, I have to say, I really enjoyed the way this thing fit. Spending time in this boot was a real joy. I've owned neoprene rubber boots before, many of them. I mean, I've got a closet full of boots that are like this. This is the first time that I was able to take something right out of the box, get right into the field, work the full day, take them off at the end of the day, and just look at my feet and feel like I was comfortable. Now, all that has to do with the way they're engineering these boots and the generations of design they have gone through at LaCrosse. So if this boot fits great, imagine what they're going to be like in 3 years, because they actually listen to what we have to say about the way a boot fits and about the performance of their boots. All right, so let's talk about size and fit and buying a pair of these. So whatever you wear in your work boots today, if you got 2 or 3 pairs of boots that are the exact same size, that you're really happy with that size, buy the Alpha Ranger in that size. They fit apples for apples with every other major brand of boot out there that comes with laces. And I'm saying that because it really does fit awesome. For the size, when I compare this to other rubber boots that are out there, they're always a little iffy here or there. This boot out of the box fit perfectly. Now when it comes to breaking something like this in, just wearing it and getting it out there, Alpha Range, You don't have to. It's not that type of boot. It's not a break-in boot. It's ready to go out of the box. Though most rubber neoprene boots are, there are some, like when you get into the winter boots, you have to spend a few days kind of collapsing the insulation down around your foot. Not with this thing. All the padding, all that air circulating material hugs the foot. It fits great as long as you understand your size. Now, one thing I'm going to add, if you're looking for this boot to actually last you a long time, if you're looking for this boot to actually just be part of your collection for years to come, you're going to have to take care of them, and you're going to have to be aware of whether or not they're drying out. Because even though with the new ozone resistant materials when it comes to rubber neoprene boots, it's still going to be a factor, especially elevation in places like that where pressures are different on materials. So just be aware of your boots. Keep them clean. When they are full of mud, take a few minutes to hose them off. After they dry, take a few minutes to kick the mud off wherever it's dried and crusted. Keep that mud away from the seams. If you can guard and protect this seam, because this is the seam where it's going to crack, it's going to happen here. Though from flexing, because when you're walking around in a rubber boot, you've got this happening all the time, so the toes dry out. But that seam there is the one, if it's going to fail, this is where it's going to happen. So be aware of what's getting stuck in there, if there's anything that's degrading the materials. So that's the Alpha Range Air Circulator from LaCrosse boots. Hey, if you're currently wearing a pair of the Alpha Range or anything from LaCrosse, please comment below and let guys know what you think about the brand and the boots. Hey, if you want to see some of the detailed photos I took of this boot, or if you want to see some of the photos I took while I was out working in this boot, doing a little wildlife photography and a little land management, swing by to bootguy.com. I'll have all those photos there waiting for you in a blog posting titled LaCrosse Alpha Range Air Circulator. Hey, please don't forget to hit my subscribe button below. You know it really helps out. And if you're on Instagram or Twitter, remember you can follow me there. And also, I just started a new Facebook page. You can check me out on Facebook. Hey, if you're about to pick up a pair of these and you just got some questions, because there's so many different models, not only of the Alpha Range, but there's hunting models and there's work models from LaCrosse. I've had experience with a lot of them. So if you've got a few questions about size and fit and about the materials that the boots are constructed of, whether or not it's going to hold up to your job or where you're going to wear them for whatever you're going to do, feel free to shoot me over an email. All right, until the next time, I'm the Boot Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.